Ah, the joys of technology.
Yeah, man, it's great.
When it works.
Welcome to the return of the Mike and Chad show after at least a couple year break here. I am one of your hosts, Chad Clark, and introduce my co-host here, Michael Green. Mike, say hello.
Hello, everybody. My goodness, that is just hard. I just can't believe that we took like a 2-year hiatus. It's like we just got up and left.
That's like more than a hiatus. That's like quitting it.
Yeah,
back.
That's like we retired.
Well, we're out of retirement.
First
podcast since July 2008. You believe that?
No, I can't. We definitely need to get back into this because so much stuff has happened since then, and we got so much stuff we could talk about.
Oh man, I mean, you say probably, of the shows we did about a dozen shows over probably a year or so, year and a half, and
yeah,
we did a lot of stuff about video games and gadgets and stuff, and I think we're going to expand out on that and just, get into some new topics here. I mean, we got all kinds of topics like,
tell me about it.
Still into, some of the gaming gadgets, but, we got social networking is a hot thing now. We got, NBA stuff, crazy NBA stuff going on, sports stuff, and, a lot of topics to do here. And we're going to mix it up here instead of just, doing games every single week.
Yeah. I think we kind of hook in a lot more listeners when we start talking about stuff other than video games.
So today we're going to talk about social networking, and that's the hot thing you always hear about. Everybody's a social networking expert, and Facebook. I mean, you can't talk about social networking without talking about Facebook and
Yes,
Twitter
sir.
to a certain extent.
It's definitely an evolving topic.
But the funny thing is it's like it's common now. Everybody talks about Facebook. It's no big deal. Everybody's on Facebook. I mean, my mom and dad are on Facebook.
Wow.
So man, it's like it's got a lot of penetration if that's the case. My parents are on it. But,
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I've seen parents, teachers, grandparents.
And it's funny because everybody, it's like social networking is a brand new thing, and that's not the case at all. It's been around for years and years.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's kind of funny that you say that because I remember when like when MySpace kind of was big, like about 3 or 4 years ago, and I remember I jumped on that. I was like, okay, this is my first experience of social networking, and I had to catch myself because I'm like, wait a minute, there was College Club back while we were in school, and that's definitely a brand of social networking.
Oh man, we'll have to talk about College Club a little later because Mike and I both went to Ball State University in mid '90s to the early 2000s, and it's funny because the internet was just starting to be a big thing then, and I mean, we still had the VAX terminals when we started. We didn't even really have full World Wide Web access until maybe junior year in the computer labs.
Yeah, basically. Oh, the VAX. Oh, that was a brutal email system, man. I tell you.
For people who don't know, the VAX was all text-based email and text-based browsing. You'd use a browser called Lynx, and I mean, you would literally, if you went to ESPN.com, it would be a page of text, and you had to navigate the text. There were no pictures, no video, no flash. It was all text.
Oh no, yeah. I don't think. Yeah, matter of fact, it couldn't. Back then, I don't think it could have handled too much video or pictures.
But yeah, we got a little more advanced and got with it in College Club and different things. But I guess we kind of start from the beginning here. I guess you got to start the discussion, and this is a little before my time. I really didn't get too much into this, but early 80s they had the BBS, the bulletin board system, and this was kind of really similar to the VAX. It was you would dial into it with a computer and it'd be all text. I mean, it'd be like message boards, all text, no pictures or anything. Pretty simplified, but I mean, it was really much anyone could communicate with other people all around the world.
Oh man, yeah. I don't even remember this.
I mean, it's something. It's a little before my time. I mean, we're both in our early 30s, so I mean, this is a little bit. This is a little bit before. I mean, I started out with the Apple IIe's in high school or in elementary school, and we didn't really have any kind of network access. So I mean, this is a little before my time, but we got to go back, start the discussion with that. And it was mainly a hobbyist thing. I mean, computers are expensive. Not very many people had them. It was really slow, but the cool factor of it was you could communicate with anyone, around the world on this system. And I mean, that's something that we kind of take for granted today. I mean, you talk to people across the country, across the world, like chatting back and forth like it's no big deal. But really, that was a huge deal years ago. Still is if you think about it.
Yeah. But back then, since it was kind of new, it was kind of really fresh and new that, it kind of blew people away that you were communicating with somebody basically, like I said, basically across the world, or in some cases in a smaller market or in a smaller scope. Think about talking to somebody in another state. Think about how amazing that is or how that was for some people.
And like I said, we take it for granted because we're talking over, we're not really all that far away. I mean, but we're talking over Skype, over the internet, and recording a podcast over. I mean, that's really amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, because like you said, we're at least I'm probably like an hour away from you, but back then that was definitely a big thing.
So I mean, and this is not the complete comprehensive history of social networking. This is just hitting the high points here of some of the bigger ones. I guess we should get into late 80s, early 90s. This is kind of where I came in, and I came in with CompuServe, and that was probably around 1994, 1995. I know we talked earlier, and you really haven't had a lot of experience with CompuServe, and you're probably going to have to handle the AOL discussion because I'm not the most familiar with AOL either.
Yeah.
So CompuServe, I mean, was interesting because it was really, I had a really slow mode in my computer. I mean, it was incredibly slow, but I literally, I had to get a faster modem because to get on MTV's website, it took me an hour to load the page.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I remember those days. The dial-up was brutal.
And I got onto this and it was crazy. It was like it opened a whole new world to me with the computer because before it'd just be me playing games, me writing papers. But man, when you got on CompuServe, you had all these features that you could use. I mean, you had similar to the BBS, you had discussion forums on there. You can go into any kind of topic. I mean, if you wanted to talk about, ham radio or games or computers, you get on these discussion groups. I mean, it was an easier way to get into it. I mean, and the big thing that blew my mind, which really sank into me, was the live chat, man. When I first did live chat, I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm sitting here talking in real time. You'd hit enter and your message would go out, and then you'd see a message come back from somebody else. It was just kind of spooky, really.
Yeah, I tell you, I kind of remember when I first started doing live chats through AOL. That was definitely an eye opener, and didn't know how to handle that at first.
Yeah, because you got to watch out. You get some interesting ones on there sometime.
Yes, sir. Definitely aren't too careful.
Of course, the CompuServe. I mean, you had email, which was a new thing, and I mean that was really something I didn't even use until I started college because I didn't have anybody I knew to email. I mean,
oh my goodness, it's just amazing how we can communicate, how easier it's to communicate with people now since we have stuff like emailing and texting, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. But it's kind of funny because now it's kind of hard to imagine what we did before, emailing and cell phones and all that fun stuff.
It's funny now because I think, about, moving. If I move, internet's really a consideration for me now because that's really something I use a lot, whether it be, my Xbox, whether it be just Facebook, a lot of things. I mean, that's a huge part of what I do, whether it be on my phone or on my computer or on my television.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Internet is definitely, it's basically integrated into our lives, just about everything now. It's amazing.
So with CompuServe was actually, you could actually get on the internet with a version, I think it was Mosaic was what was built with it, and that was your web browser. And CompuServe has so much content, I really didn't mess with the World Wide Web too much because they had lots of pictures and discussion groups and things you could go to. I think back to my first month with CompuServe when I signed up. They ask you what's your local number, where are you close to? So I'm putting Shelbyville, Indiana, which is where I'm from. I mean, we're definitely now we're getting a lot better coverage, and we've got DSL now. But there was no local number. I mean, this was even before really dial-up internet providers. So they said, we got this. When you sign up, we got an 800 number. So I'm like, man, that's great, an 800 number.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can just dial in toll free. The catch is that they have your credit card number.
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
Got the first phone bill after the first month of CompuServe. It was $200+.
Wow. What did your parents say to that?
It was not easy to explain.
Were they like, you need a job?
They were like, you need to really watch your time on here. Because, I would just dial in and be on there for hours and hours and leave the thing running. So, I wouldn't even use it. So
200. Wow, that's just amazing.
200+. So we'll get into later. Really, that was a big reason that I went to just straight up internet access instead of CompuServe, because we finally did get a internet provider in Shelbyville, and we went to that. So that was kind of my early experience there. Late 80s, early 90s was where I jumped in the game there, and And it was just a matter of, you had these free discs. A friend of ours got us into this and had a CompuServe disc. That's why I went CompuServe instead of AOL's, because someone gave me a CompuServe disc. I know you went AOL.
Yeah, oh yeah. 'Cause I know mostly kind of like the first time I really started getting into the internet was like, like I said, freshman year of college in 96. I think we got a computer in the summer of 97, and for some reason, my mother just decided to go ahead and, when she got it, I think, what it was is it came with an AOL installation disc, because that's the only reason why we went with that. And kind of just went from there, and kind of seeing how AOL's changed so much. We used to have had the dial-up modem, so it took forever to get on, Yeah,
it's funny because we both have the same story. We didn't go through any kind of comparison shopping. We both just had the disc.
Yep.
And installed it.
And there you go, your first exposure to the internet.
That's the story. Somebody gave me a disc, I installed it. We were good to go.
Yeah.
So AOL and CompuServe, from what I know about AOL, seem pretty similar, really, in what they did. It was just kind of presented differently.
Man. I tell you, it was just so brutal in the beginning because we had dial-up, and I remember my mother got like a separate phone number so we could run the AOL on the phone line. And oh man, it was brutal how slow that was.
And it's funny you mention that because it really is a killer for your phone if you don't have a separate line, even back then.
Oh, I know, because man, back then at that time we still had a lot of people had a home phone, and you couldn't really get your phone. At that time, if someone was trying to call you and you were actually on the computer, you wouldn't get that message. Would it even go to the answer machine, or would it just ring?
Well, I remember when we had it, we put in a code like a *70 before the phone number so it would get a busy signal, because if someone would call in and call waiting would come in, it would mess you up.
Oh, okay.
So we definitely did that, but I guess a big thing really in the future was kind of revolutionary for AOL were the member profiles, because we think of profiles now as no big deal. That's what everything runs off of.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually had usernames and your interests and all that good stuff on AOL, and that was definitely a new thing, and that's something that today is all over the place.
Yeah, that's commonplace. Basically, when you log into just about anything for the first time, it seems like just about everybody makes you make up some kind of profile. Kind of one big thing that I got exposed to with that is dealing with instant messaging, and in particular chat rooms. And at that time, that was definitely a big thing because, you had email, you had instant messenger, but chat rooms where you were in a room with multiple people from all over the place, that was definitely an amazing thing because, you were just talking to people, it's kind of a new thing you didn't really know. It's kind of one of them things where you're behind a computer, basically, you're doing it from the comfort of your own home, so didn't really have to go anywhere. So that was definitely a new and unique experience. Got to meet people from all across not only the United States but across the world.
I mean, it was really kind of overwhelming when you get in a big chat room with a bunch of people in it, and there's just a solid stream of conversations going. And then if you kind of start talking, I mean, in my experience, you'd talk back and forth with someone, and if it's someone you really wanted to talk to, then you'd do like a private room, private chat, and you could talk back and forth without all the static.
Oh, I know, man. That was kind of like almost like a needle in a haystack when you were talking to somebody, and then every so often or every couple of seconds you see some text just flying across the screen, and you couldn't, it was kind of hard to navigate through it because you didn't know who was talking to who.
Yeah, and that's can still be a problem today with Facebook and Twitter in some places where you've got so much information coming at you, but you can kind of curate it a little bit and make it a little more manageable.
Oh yeah.
But that's definitely jumping ahead to. I keep bringing up Facebook and Twitter, but that's where we're going with this conversation. I mean, that's why we're talking about it. I mean, people weren't talking about BBS too much. I mean, in general public, I mean, it was not all over the same with CompuServe, AOL. That was not a huge topic with everyone. It was a hobbyist thing.
Yes, sir, it was.
As much as I'm a computer guy, I know that. I mean, we talked about CompuServe and AOL, but we get into more modern here, and we're, modern, but this is still 12, 15 years ago. The rise of the World Wide Web, and it was something that you could get onto from CompuServe and get onto from AOL, but more and more, especially for me being kind of a rural area, to get a local number and to be able to call in, and you had so many hours you could use of internet. We finally got an internet service provider, and that was when you just dialed in with your modem, and then you opened up your web browser, which I think I started out with like Spry, Mosaic, and eventually went to Netscape. And I mean, it's kind of funny because I paid like $60 or $70 for each of those browsers.
Wow. And
today you don't pay for any browser, but it's kind of funny because once you get on the World Wide Web without CompuServe, or my experience was, you're just kind of thrown out there in the wild, because CompuServe was very, restricted, very kind of regimented of what you could do. You click here to do this, click here to do that, click here for the weather. It's like you get on the internet, it's like, here's a web page, where do you go? I guess the first place I tried to go was Yahoo, because that was really the big directory of where to go. I mean, I'd never even heard of Yahoo.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. You think about search engines. I mean, they got multiple ones now, stuff like Google and so many other ones. But, yeah, Yahoo, as far as search engines, Yahoo was basically the first one I ever saw on anything, on whether it was AOL, Netscape, or Internet Explorer, or any internet, or any internet service provider.
And it was really a starting point, because you get there and it's like, okay, what do I do now?
And and in some cases, that was kind of like the beauty of the web when when it first started to explode, and you had like a search engine, like you had like when you first logged in, it took you to the Yahoo page, because you basically had it's like kind of like the World Wide Web, the world at your fingertips. So just about anything you kind of wanted to look at, you basically put in that search engine, pressed enter, and it gave you a listing of items, and you just went from there and saw, and you just found what you saw.
I remember buying a book, like a internet directory,
Mm-hmm.
I mean a physical book, just to see. In magazines, I would get magazines just to see what websites are out there. and there still were chat rooms. I mean, you had chat rooms on websites, you had IRC, you had different things like that, but really we're starting to, as early as 1995, we started to see a lot of stuff similar to what we have now. I mean, you think Classmates.com was in 1995, which kind of surprised me looking back at it, that it's been around that long.
Wow, no, I would have never thought. I do know what it is, but I would have never thought it was been around since that long. I probably would have thought it came around like maybe 97, 98.
This is my first real experience with social networking, what we consider modern social networking, was College Club. And I mean, a lot of people probably haven't heard of College Club. They're probably saying, College Club, what the heck is that? Well, it's where we started. But really, I'm not surprised, because I don't think you can even get there anymore, can you?
No, it takes you to some. I think I deleted the link because I used to have it saved in the favorites, and I think the last one I went to, it took you to like a web page where you couldn't log into it, and it just had like a whole bunch of like little stories you could click on, talking about music and entertainment and stuff like that. So it was definitely a little bit different from what the College Club we were used to. It's kind of funny because I think about it now and how College Club was, and you can basically say that it was kind of like it was MySpace before MySpace, it was Facebook before Facebook, because kind of like you said, it had everything, basically. And for those who aren't really familiar with College Club, basically what College Club was is kind of like what it was. It was basically based on all the colleges across the from what I remember, just the colleges across the United States. They had, matter of fact, each college had like their own section. It was amazing, where they had like little, you could post activity that was going on, had pictures across pictures of people across at different campuses and stuff like that. Had chat rooms, had email, had blogs, had forums, kind of basically a lot of stuff you see with Facebook, you saw it on College Club. And it really got amazing to where, like, they would have, I remember they even had people coming to, like, to kind of promote it. They had people coming, from College Club. They had people coming from all over to different colleges, and they were actually, taking pictures of people. And so they would, they were so many photo albums you could look at where you would just see college kids across the nation just, in college.
Like I said, this isn't the comprehensive history of social networking. There were 6 Degrees was another, Friendster was another, but just really I didn't use. I don't know. I don't think you used either one of those, did you, Mike?
No, sir, I sure didn't.
So, I mean, we might as well jump ahead, because to me, I really got out of social networking. I got out of college and got past College Club, and I really didn't start in probably to the mid 2000s.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was kind of funny in a way, because I'll probably say since we after we graduated from college, in some ways, at least maybe I'm speaking for me, but I know when I got out of college, I kind of associated stuff like that with college, as far as communicating with, college age people. And like, I was out of college, so I'm like, I guess I was under the impression, like, why do I still need to talk to people who are in college and I've already graduated?
Yeah, I'm the same way, and that's probably the big reason I got out of it.
Yeah.
But it was mid 2000s when people started talking about it again. I mean, there were two of the, well, I guess the big one that got me back into it would have to be MySpace.
Oh gosh, yes, that's the first time I watched it, or I actually kind of got involved with the internet profile. I started putting pictures with the profile, so not only were you seeing my profile, but you saw my face along with it. So I was kind of giving it, I guess. I guess MySpace in regards to me was the first profile I ever did where I was actually giving myself an identity on the internet.
Yeah, because you had the whole friend thing. You would have your friends on there, but you could go on there. You could easily post pictures, and it was really the first time, unlike College Club, where it's starting to be to a point there where a lot of people were using MySpace.
Yeah,
MySpace did all kinds of stuff, and actually, when you think about it, MySpace actually probably does more than Facebook. And,
yes.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That might be kind of a bad thing, because you could do stuff like different backgrounds on MySpace. You could have all kinds of graphics, themes. You could have music play when you jumped on there. And, good or bad, I mean, I know I'd go into some MySpace pages, and man, it'd kill my computer because there was so much stuff going on.
Yeah, I know. That was probably the crazy thing about MySpace. There was so much stuff that you can add, and I know I try to at least keep it simple, because you're right, because sometimes I know there were times where I had so much stuff on my website that it would kind of choke my computer trying to go into it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we both had fast computers, so I mean, it's kind of crazy that it was going on, but they had the whole game concept on there. You had pictures, you had music, all stuff we've mentioned. People were really on that, and that was really popular. In fact, until Facebook. I mean, Facebook was actually MySpace started in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
That was a couple of years before I started using it. Facebook actually started 2004, but really it was only open to college students there.
Well, that's amazing because I didn't jump on. Like I said, I didn't really join MySpace till 2006, and I didn't really get into Facebook until 2009.
Yeah, that's about right. It's probably 2009 when I got into Facebook, and it's kind of like there was and MySpace really still has a lot of users, but it kind of seemed like there was an exodus of people from MySpace to Facebook. They would say,
yes,
you got to go to Facebook because it's so much better. I mean, I don't know that anybody could really tell you why it was better, but it was kind of, that was like the new place to be.
Yeah, it was crazy because I mean I was on MySpace. I mean I still am. I don't really use it too much anymore, but I remember I had friends saying, yeah, you might need to give Facebook a try, and she was like saying, it's a little bit easier to navigate than MySpace is. There's not much you have to do with it. And once like I said, I think it was March 2009 is when I joined Facebook, and I've loved it ever since.
And I think that's what I do like about Facebook is the simplicity of it.
Yes. Oh yes, that makes
there's
it
not there's not a lot of so much junk. Because MySpace had a lot of junk, and I don't even use MySpace anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I went kind of an odd path. I went from MySpace to Twitter to Facebook.
Yeah.
And Facebook, it's interesting because you've got all these sites. You've got Flickr, you've got YouTube. There's a ton of different sites for sharing videos and pictures, but it's like the default way to share pictures and movies and just information is Facebook, and not going to 10 different websites and posting. It's like that's their one-stop shop for everything now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is amazing. It was definitely a mass exodus from MySpace, and I guess that's probably the reason why, because there was just too much going on, and maybe I'm not sure if if this is kind of like another reason, but it seems like at least to me, Facebook is kind of like a little more. It's open like MySpace is, but in some regards, it's a little bit more personalized. Like, mostly if you're friends with somebody, like MySpace, if you were friends with somebody, it was just someone where you were looking through profiles, you just happened to see somebody that you were possibly interested in. Basically, you just look at the picture and you thought if you were possibly interested in them and getting to know them as a friend, you send them a friend's request. Now, mostly when you see Facebook is normally for people you actually know. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense because I always looked at Twitter as, and we haven't really discussed Twitter, but Twitter as kind of following the general public and Facebook following the people you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's more and more crossover there because you're seeing, it amazes me how many different commercials you see now that instead of, www.chevrolet.com, they have visit us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Chevrolet.
Oh, it's amazing. Yes.
I mean, 9 out of 10 commercials are that way. Instead of websites are like like us on Facebook because all of that content is aggregated into one big stream with all your friends, and you see stuff pop up. You see, NBA news, you see product news, you see what Mike's doing, what Chad's doing, what your sister's doing.
And that's the amazing part because normally they already have the website, and all they mostly doing is like Facebook page, and a lot of times all they're doing is transferring stuff from their actual website over to the Facebook page, so it's not really too much of a hassle for them to do that.
I mean, I know, Mike, there's a lot of concerns with Facebook. I mean, you hear that all over the news about privacy.
Oh, yes, that's a big thing. They're constantly changing the updates. They're telling, I'm starting to see a lot of articles. And matter of fact, I think I've even posted links to them where they're telling you what not to share on Facebook, just for identity theft and things like that.
I know people get tired of hearing me say this, and some people think I'm kind of negative Facebook. I'm not really, because I'm on Facebook a lot, and I like Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But you just gotta, just like anything, man, just don't ever trust a website to keep your information private. I mean, anywhere. Just know that anything you put on there, with one change in policy, could be out there for everyone to see. I mean, if your boss is on Facebook, if your, girlfriend's on Facebook, or your parents, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. If you don't want it to be public, don't put it on there. If you're afraid someone's going to get your phone number, don't put it on Facebook. That's my thoughts on Facebook on privacy. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, privacy is a big thing. Kind of like what we were talking to about earlier. There's always you're constantly seeing stories about what not to put on Facebook, or if you want to put something, don't put where you live, or don't put your full birthday, or it's just simple stuff. But kind of like what you said earlier, if you don't want nobody to know a certain thing, don't put it on there. It's just that simple.
I don't post things because it still kind of blows my mind some of the stuff that people post. It's like, man, shouldn't be posting that publicly, I don't think. But
Oh, I know. I definitely try. Yeah, certain things. Yeah, you're right. Certain things, people gotta. I guess people forget that it's the World Wide Web, and I guess what it is people they kind of think that the World Wide Web gives a form of like it makes you kind of anonymous, but I guess they keep forgetting with stuff like Facebook. And if you have a picture with your profile, which normally I probably say about 75 to 80% of people do, you can put a picture to all of that. I think there's kind of like what you kind of getting back to that one privacy that topic you were talking about earlier. I do kind of wish they didn't add that feature to where sometimes you can see what your post, what people are posting on, like someone who's friends of yours, but someone who's like a friend of yours, but maybe are talking to one of their friends, and it's like you can see what they're saying. It's like I don't really need to see that, do I?
no, and that's going back to it. You just got to be real careful.
I think there's a feature where you can change that, isn't it?
Well, Mike, I think of myself as kind of a tech nerd and should know this stuff.
Yeah.
But the Facebook stuff still confuses me on who sees what. That's why I just always say be careful.
Yeah, you're right. I know I don't. If it's something where I don't mind a lot of people seeing it, then I just go ahead and post it. But if it's something kind of like what you said, where you are directed towards a certain person or something like that, and you don't want a lot of people to see it, then you just email them.
We've talked about Facebook. We need to do a whole show on Facebook because
yes, we do.
We can do an hour on Facebook, but I just want to hit the high points. The last one on our list would be Twitter. And do you use Twitter at all, Mike?
No, I don't use Twitter at all. I know a ton of people who use it, and I've seen it in action, but yeah, I don't use Twitter.
I don't really know what to do with Twitter. I've been on Twitter a couple of years. I don't know. I really like how clean Twitter is, how simple it is. The simplicity is great. The problem is everyone I know is on Facebook. That's a real problem. I actually haven't posted anything on Twitter for probably a month and a half, so I don't really know what to do with it. I'm not saying I'm quitting, but I hate cliches, but the term echo chamber, where sometimes you kind of feel like you're the only one talking, is really evident on Twitter for me. Actually, I'm not the only one talking; it's everyone's talking, and it's like everyone's shouting, and I'm not sure if anyone's listening, and that's kind of the weird deal.
I know a couple of people who are on Twitter. They normally like to follow. I know a lot of people who use it in terms of like following athletes and kind of tweeting their thoughts about like a team or a player or something like that. It's amazing the number of people I know that follow like athletes or entertainers on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think really the main thing I use Twitter for now, and I used a lot for in the past, is following sports stars, following NASCAR. I mean, I'm a huge NASCAR fan, so I'll follow Kevin Harvick and follow his team and his sponsors, and see what's going on. That's to kind of get the inside track. I really like that part of Twitter. Facebook is the big player now, but it might not be that way forever. I mean, I hate to use another cliche here, but only time will tell. I mean, MySpace was the place to be for a long time until Facebook. You never know.
But yeah, that is kind of crazy, man. How we're always looking for that next big thing.
So I guess that kind of gives a brief overview of social networking the last about 30 years. I mean, just we hit some of the high points and really concentrate on stuff we've used because we know the most about that. But as I said, we wanted to keep doing these podcasts. We wanted to get on a little more regular schedule and try to do it another one before 2 years,
Oh, I know, man. That's just brutal.
So I guess, what do we need to plug here? I guess my website is chadclark.org. I think we're probably going to use the chadclark.org/podcasts.
Yeah.
That we used before. That has our old links to our old show notes, and we'll probably get going with that. I am Chad Clark on Facebook, username ChadClark0. You can follow me on Twitter at Chad Diesel, although I haven't posted in a month. Mike, what do you want to plug today?
I'm trying to, just Michael, Michael Green on Facebook, and I don't really have like any personal websites or anything yet, Cause I know when we plugged last time, we would plug MySpace.
Yeah.
And I hardly ever use that, so.
Well, Mike, it's been fun. We definitely need to do this more often.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think because I know I got plenty of show. I know we got plenty of show ideas, so we just need to figure out when we're going to do the next one.
Yep.
It should be hopefully within the next. I'll probably say hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, this is Mike and Chad signing off.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.